Hello there. This is my first video for quite some time, and I've been busy with lots of other things. I just really haven't had time to do one for the last couple of weeks. And one of the reasons I haven't been able to was because death in the family, unfortunately. So anyway, today I want to talk to you about something that is connected with death, and that is my new book, which is Samhain, The Roots of Hallowe'en. And you may be aware of the fact that Hallowe'en actually replaced an earlier festival called Samhain, which means the end of summer. It's an Irish word which is actually for the name of the month of November. So the actual date we celebrate on generally is the 31st of October, although in astronomical terms this is slightly variable, and you've got dates given as between sometimes the 3rd to the 7th of November, generally it's actually falling in November rather than October. But I mentioned death already. It's basically a festival primarily about the ancestors, about the people that have gone before us. The belief was that this time of year, the veil between the other world and this sort of middle world that we live in was very, very thin. So it was very easy for the spirits of the dead to return. And that's why you have a lot of superstitions and sort of ritualistic behaviour surrounding the dead, and paying respect to them, and also sort of inviting them to return back to the homestead. So that's where you get the thing with candles in the window, and that led to sort of turnips with candle in, and of course later on the pumpkin, which has become almost omnipresent now. And of course it's a lot easier to carve a pumpkin into a lantern than it is to do a turnip. Turnips are really hard, and you need a super sharp knife for that. So yeah, it's a lot easier to just get a pumpkin, isn't it? So I don't blame people for that. Why would you go through all that hardship when you've got a much more pleasant alternative? So another aspect of this is sort of the fairies, the Sidhe, the Tuath Danann, and that's all covered in the book, as well as a place currently called the Hill of Ward, but previously known as Clocta. Clocta being also a goddess stroke druidess in previous time. I've had a few comments from people already who bought the book, who have found some of the use of Irish quite difficult. So the thing is, a lot of what relates to Halloween and Samhain does come from Ireland, and a lot of the terminology is Irish. So I mean, it is a little bit difficult. One of the problems being that there's more than one dialect. There's 4 dialects in Ireland, so pronunciation can vary, and also the actual way that letters and groups of letters are pronounced is completely and utterly different from most European languages, including English. So it can be quite tough. Now there are some online dictionaries, and one of them that I recommend is tinglan.ie. That has a pronunciation guide, and I'm going to add a link to that in the comments below, in the description rather, so that you can go and find that. And when you find an Irish word, for instance Samhain, if you click on the pronunciation tab, it will give you 3 different ways of pronouncing depending on which dialect you've picked. So if you don't know how to say a word, you can just go and look it up there, because Obviously I could try and give a phonetic appendix in the book or future books, which may be useful to some extent, but if you're really interested in understanding something of Irish language, it's probably better to use online resources where you can actually hear somebody say the word properly. So anyway, this book has been quite a long time in coming. I was very much inspired by a previous book written by John Gilroy about 20 odd years ago, slightly more than that now, which is out of print, which covered mostly just about Clochta, the site, and the goddess, and some of the mythology around that, and the cultural history of that area. But I've covered all of that in sort of what I consider greater depth, going into the story, and I'm presenting some of the actual source material for you to read for yourself, so you can make up your own minds about what you think about it. And I've looked at sort of the more modern traditions, where they come from, including some from other countries that have come into the sort of modern culture of Halloween. So I've tried to make it as comprehensive as I possibly can. So I hope you find it interesting, and if you want a copy, you can get it from my own website, and it's also available from the usual booksellers as well. Okay, thanks for listening. That's it for now. Bye bye.